The Daughters of Atlas, main villains of Shazam! Fury of the Gods, are an entirely original creation of the film, having no comic book counterparts to draw from. This is the kind of thing that really only matters if you're a nerd like me, but I still can't help but wonder why they didn't just use the Greek gods themselves. Sure, the first Wonder Woman movie said they were all dead, but A, they're gods, and if anyone can just come back with no explanation, you'd think it'd be gods, and B, the whole previous DCEU film continuity is a sinking ship, and if anything, this movie might have done itself a bigger favor by grabbing a lifeboat and ignoring everything except the first Shazam entirely. But that's not what I'm really here to talk about today. Like most long-running superheroes, Shazam has amassed a sizable rogues gallery consisting of some crazy and colorful characters, some of whom we've seen across the movies in some way, shape, or form. Obviously, Dr. Sivana, a strong contender for Billy's archenemy in the comics, featured as the main villain of the 2019 film played by Mark Strong, but the film's interpretation of Sivana is radically different from the norm. Comic Sivana has long been a textbook example of the crazed mad scientist, and one of superhero comics' first, predating even Lex Luthor, using all kinds of kooky contraptions to battle it out with Earth's mightiest mortal. In a funny juxtaposition with his film self's disdain for family, Sivana actually has 4 children of his own. His 2 oldest, Fuchsia and Magnificus, eventually went on to become allies to the Shazamily, while twin siblings Georgia and Thaddeus Jr. remain steadfastly evil. Also featured not nearly enough in these movies is Mr. Mind, a Venusian worm who is, believe it or not, one of the Shazamily's most dangerous foes. While he looks just like a regular ugly bug, he possesses intense psychic abilities and is in fact one of DC Earth's most dangerous telepaths. In the wake of the Infinite Crisis and the limited restoration of the DC multiverse, I hate reboots, Mr. Mind evolved into a monstrous butterfly version of himself and became powerful enough that he threatened to destroy the entire universe, only to be thwarted by Booster Gold and Rip Hunter. Mr. Mind was also responsible for assembling the Monster Society of Evil, one of the first supervillain groups comprised of already introduced villains, Legion of Doom before Legion of Doom, essentially. Moving on to villains who have yet to make the jump to cinema, there's Captain Nazi, who I briefly mentioned last episode as the guy who attacked Freddie Freeman and resulted in him becoming Captain Marvel Jr. What I didn't mention is that not only did he horrifically injure Freddie, he also killed Freddie's grandfather, for no other reason than because he could, and because, surprise surprise, the guy named Captain Nazi is a terrible human being. Also worth noting, he had a counterpart in the New 52 who obtained his powers in a 1940s project run by longtime supervillain and secret caveman Vandal Savage. Savage proceeded to beat him to death once he outlived his usefulness, a fate I can only describe as fitting. Of course, there's one major Shazam villain I've neglected to mention, his most feared, most hated, most personal nemesis of all time, and I speak, of course, of Mr. Banjo. An agent for the Axis powers during World War II, Mr. Banjo possesses no superhuman powers, supernatural abilities, or superior technology, and his main claim to fame was sending crucial information to Axis agents coded within the musical notes played by his banjo. Truly, there is no one more despicable, and no one in the Shazam Rogues Gallery who's more worthy of coverage.